Alright, welcome back to another episode of RCX Unwrapped August edition.
Woo! These are all the graphic novels we read in August.
Ooh. I don't know if you can lift yours. It's really heavy.
Very heavy.
We read a lot. Or Jaclyn read a lot.
We read a lot together.
Exactly. We have the wonderful Todd joining us today.
And Watson's hiding in the corner.
He's camera shy.
He is. It's okay, buddy.
He's okay.
So, Tess read this last month, but we're going to talk about it again.
Because it's so good!
So good. Navigating with You by Jeremy Whitley and Cassio Ribeiro, if I'm saying that correctly.
Mm-hmm.
And this book, there's two characters are new students at a new school, and they bond over their love of this manga, and they have to go find all the volumes, and they read it together like a book club, and then they fall in love. Spoiler alert.
What more could you want?
But the art is beautiful, the representation is amazing. One of the girls has a disability, and one of them has anxiety or
it's PTSD.
PTSD, yes. Very much. And they find each other when they need each other the most. And I love stories like that
so much.
So much. It's beautiful. And the manga is included as well.
Yeah, and it's all black and white, which is super cool.
So yeah, you get to enjoy the manga with them, and it's kind of fun that the manga is relatable to what's going on in their real life, of course.
Of course.
So definitely.
I love it.
Come get that one.
100%. We have a lot of copies.
We ordered so many.
Because it's so good. So I reread Cuckoo's 3 by Cassandra Jean and Moss Cat. I read this one at did it come out last year or this year?
I think it was last year.
I don't remember. It is so good and very cute. And it started off as a webtoon, I believe, and published as a manga, but it's not really a manga because it's in color and it's the right way.
The right way.
The other way. But it's about these two boys, and one moves into this little town in the middle of nowhere, and they fall in love, and there's a moment where they're looking at the stars, and that's probably the highlight of the whole book for me. I really love a moment in a field where the only two characters there, and it's also got really good representation for dissociative identity disorder in a way that I've never read it before, if that makes sense. I feel like a lot of people see that disorder as one thing, but it's really not. And yeah, it's really, really good. Really cute.
Beautiful. I read Hanami, You, Me, and 200 Square Feet in Japan by, oh my god, Julia Sejas. She is Argentinian or Spanish or both creator, so this was translated into English. And she documents her time with her husband when they go to Japan for a year. They live abroad. They're fully immersed in the culture, the language. They have to take language classes, and they live in this tiny, tiny little apartment. So it's just little snippets about their time there. The artwork is really pretty, and that it's only kind of two-toned, and the cherry blossoms were really, really pretty. That's probably the highlight for me. It's hard for me to read a memoir that's just little snippets instead of a full story, so I think that was one takeaway for me, but I still enjoyed reading about their experience. So I would still recommend it, just for the cherry blossoms.
Yes. I think I read half of it in store before you bought it. So
you can borrow it and finish it.
I can borrow it and finish it now.
I read it for a Women in Translation month, so I think I read 5 or 6. If you count Persepolis as 2, it was 6. So that was 1.
Awesome.
1.
So cool. You want to do that one first, or
okay?
We both read this one. So we both read Loving Ohio by Matthew Erman and Sam Beck. This was really intense and terrifying.
It was a lot. It was about religious trauma.
Yeah.
Basically. This little town in Ohio, Loving Ohio. Clearly the author has a love-hate relationship with his hometown because Woo! It was a lot. And there's like a religious cult. And these friends are trying to figure out, one, what happened to their friend. Like, did he really commit suicide or did something else happen? And the main character's haunted by this creepy dude that's going around killing kids.
Yeah.
They escape a burning building and
yeah,
it's a lot.
And like it reminds me a lot of like Junji Ito's works because except like in color because there's a lot of like tentacles involved
and jump scary
kind of freaky.
Yeah, but I really enjoyed it. The friendship dynamic and how they wanted to stay together because they were friends, but they knew that they had to leave this town in order to better themselves.
Yeah.
So, spoiler alert, they may leave loving Ohio.
Yeah. Good for them.
Wait, sometimes you gotta leave your hometown, man.
Exactly. In order to grow. Yeah. Very, very good.
And the art is...
I love the colors because they're like warmer tones, and I feel like we don't see a whole lot of that in graphic novels.
Especially in horror.
Yes.
I need bright colors to make me happy.
Same.
I'm reading sad books.
Me too.
So, I read Lion Dancers by Cai Tse. I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm going to say your name wrong. But it's about two friends that were lion dancers, and then something breaks them apart, and they aren't friends anymore. The main character, his dad was a lion dancer and he passes away, so he stops dancing and he tries to make his way back to it. And it was really cool seeing the culture and like how lion dancing actually works, which I saw a little bit in Lunar New Year Love Story, which was beautiful. And this is like completely about lion dancing. Like you get all the details about what it takes to be the head, what it takes to be the tail, how they work together, all the training involved. All of the festivals that they do throughout the year, not just for Lunar New Year. And it was kind of about the community and making your way back to your friend in a way. Someone compared it to Fence, which is hard to do because Fence is about rivalry, yes, and friendship, but I didn't really see any romance between these two kids happening.
Yeah.
But if you like friendship rivalry type of stories, definitely.
Which we obviously do. I was just looking at all of our things and it's all about friends.
There's a lot of friendship stories here for sure. So this is definitely a friendship story, and it's completely immersed in lion dancing. The author themselves is a lion dancer in Australia, so it's pretty cool.
Very good, very good.
Yes.
Do you want to go again since you have more than me?
Sure. I read Buckle Up by Lawrence Lindell, and this whole book pretty much takes place in a car, and it's conversations that he's having with his parents, mostly his dad, because his parents recently got divorced, and he's trying to understand why and what's going on, and how he doesn't necessarily get along with his sister because she's staying more so with the mom and not with the dad, and he just has a lot of questions about, like, do I need to talk to my friends about my parents getting divorced? I'm kind of ashamed, and it was really relatable because my parents went through a divorce when I was around the same age, and it was just really cool that everything took place in a car. So, like, just him having conversations, and so I think it brings up really good conversations for ways for kids to be able to ask these questions. So, very important.
Very important. I read Skelenor the Decomposer, and I am not kidding, it may be one of the greatest things I've read this month. It is about a skeleton, Skelenor, who just really wants to make music, and she's got this friend who's a bat, and her name is Batima, and they kind of like work together so that Skelenor can play the music. And so, yeah, Skelenor like creeps in on people and watches them play music and is like, wow, I need to do that. So she finds a bunch of like old instruments that are like instrument rejects and she plays them throughout the town and doesn't understand why everyone is scared of her.
Oh, poor thing.
And it's so good, and like about how everyone can make music. It doesn't matter who you are or what you look like. and also the art is just so beautiful and adorable, and it's so good. Highly recommend.
It's a little hidden gem you found there.
Yes.
I read We Are Big Time by Henrichon and Safiya Zerrougui. And this is based on a true story, which I didn't know until the author's note at the end. But it's an all-girls Muslim basketball team. And it was just their journey of learning to play together and all the xenophobia that they see because they're all playing in their hijab. And again, it's a friendship story. And kind of a found family vibe because they're playing together as a team, and it's about basketball. So what's more? I love sports stories. And another one about like being the new kid. That seems to be a recurring vibe in this stack as well.
Mm-hmm.
Being a new kid in a new school and trying to make friends is hard enough already, and then you're getting criticized for the way you look. So I really liked how this was handled, and the fact that it's a true story or based on a true story is really cool.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Next we have Ash's Cabin by Jen Wang, which we both read.
And cried.
Oh,
so many tears.
Good. I cried so hard.
I think I cried on the first page.
Honestly. Because it's all written as diary entries. And that already just like gets to me.
Yeah, Ash is feeling really lonely and wants to find his grandfather's cabin in the woods and live alone with his dog and survive.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of a survival manifesto as well.
Yeah. It's really, really super good. And just like finding yourself and being who you want to be without like other people interfering.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like something I want to do. But that's... I am not nearly as brave as Ash.
They did make a friend in the woods.
They did,
I
yes.
did like that part.
It's very cute.
And the dog does not die.
And the dog does not die in the end. That's all that matters. It was close there. But... yeah.
Man.
Very good.
The artwork, too, is just beautiful.
Of course, it's Jen Wang. She also wrote The Prince and the Dressmaker, which is so good. One of the best books ever. So, yes. Highly recommend.
Everyone needs to read it.
Everybody needs to read it.
I read Your Letter by Hyeon.
I read this morning. So it's technically September now, but we can both talk about it.
So this was a webtoon, and then it was published in one volume. So it's a complete story, which I love in a manga because I can't read 20 volumes. My brain can't do it. But this is a complete story about a new girl getting a fresh start in a new school, and she finds a letter in her desk, and it sends her on this scavenger hunt. And along the way, she makes a friend that also helps her with the scavenger hunt, and they learn that they had a mutual friend, and all the feelings.
So many feelings.
Yeah.
It's so good.
I don't want to give the whole thing away.
No, yeah.
But
it's their adventure finding the rest of the letters.
Yeah, they have to, like, each chapter basically was a new letter, so you get to see what was in the letter and why the person that wrote the letters left them, and how it all comes together in the end.
It has a happy ending.
Yeah. And the book has a poster.
Because why not?
In it. This is just a sample of the beautiful artwork. And part of the book takes place in a library. So of course the checkout card for the library's in the back, and it's got the two characters' names on it. I just love stuff like that.
Me too. Little extras.
It means so much. So, friendship. Beautiful, beautiful friendship.
Yes. So we both read Persepolis. I read it twice.
We have a whole video on it.
Coming out. I don't know when. It should already be out by the time this video goes up.
Maybe.
That's a
maybe
Philip
not.
question. That's a Philip question. So I guess we don't super need to talk about it.
Read it. It's amazing.
It's amazing. I highly recommend reading it twice because I feel like I got more from it the second time around. yeah.
You definitely have to read it all together.
Yes.
Like, don't read it as 2 separate books because it just...
It literally starts right, like, pretty soon after this one ends.
Yes, one complete story that I wanted to continue.
Yes, right? I want to know more.
Want to know more. Definitely read it.
Very good.
Another translated book.
Yes, because Women in Translation Month.
Woo! I read Puzzled by Pan Cooke, which is about the author's struggles growing up with OCD. And I like the analogy of the puzzle because, like, all the pieces he had to put together in his brain. I thought it was presented in a really easy to understand and relatable way. And he's documenting his experience, so who am I to judge on that? Really well done, and I just love a memoir, so nothing else to say with that.
Very good. It's very good.
I read HoverGirls by Geneva Bowers. I love her artwork, and that's the reason why I found this book in the first place. It was originally published online. I don't know if it was I think it was a webtoon. And then now it's gotten picked up by a major publisher, so finally got to read it. And her art is just so beautiful and colorful. She loves, like, space elements and, like, pretty hair.
Yes.
So that's the star of this book. The story kind of felt all over the place with, they're 2 cousins, and they somehow get these, like, short-term superpowers, and they have to save the city. And one of them is, like, a fashionista, and the other one's, like, an angry barista, so they, you know, of course, they don't really get along, but they're cousins, so they stick together and fight crime for a day, basically. It felt like it only took place in one day. I don't know. And she named them HoverGirls because they can kind of fly.
Yeah.
But, the art itself is just beautiful. That's the reason why I bought it.
Very good. I've been meaning to read it as well. Did you read Uniqlo?
Not yet.
No!
Don't yell at me.
No, I'm not gonna yell at you. It's so cute. So Uniqlo, this is based off of a manga. Is it a manga or is it a TV series first?
Or both.
It might have been both. From forever ago. Yeah.
Before
so this
we
is
were
like
born, probably.
way before we were born because the author died in like 1989. So it's just like a revamp of that story. It is adorable, like so cute. There's unicorns. There's multiple unicorns. There's an adorable cat and a little old grandma and like, oh, it's just so cute. I can't really say anything about it without giving a lot of it away.
I just need to read it and we can talk about it again next week.
Yes. It is so good. So good. Because hopefully you'll read it this month.
I need to. It's been on Philip's stack. I had to steal it from him. He still hasn't read it yet. I know Tommy did.
It's so cute.
I read Pearl by Sherry L. Smith and Christine Norrie. And this book is a historical fiction. It takes place in Hawaii and Japan in the early 1940s. So I knew exactly where this story was going to go when I saw that timestamp. But the main character's grandma was a pearl diver in Japan. And the family immigrated to Hawaii. And so she's growing up in Hawaii in the 1940s. And then she goes to visit family in Japan by herself. The rest of her immediate family stays behind, and then she gets stuck there because of the war. And it was heartbreaking because her family's experiencing the war in Hawaii and in the US. And then she's experiencing the war in Hiroshima. Of course, they drop the atomic bomb. She survives. There's a happy ending-ish, but it's very sad.
It's really intense.
But I love the, like, dual meaning of Pearl because her grandmother was a pearl diver, and then Pearl Harbor being a big part of the story. But the main character she overcame so much because you're not American enough, you're not Japanese enough, so she didn't really feel like she felt that fit in anywhere. And she was kind of a war correspondent using her English, so she felt like a traitor to her home country, and it was just a lot, especially being so young. And the art is just all blue. It's really pretty. It's a story worth telling, I believe. Definitely. I'm assuming it's based on a true story.
Probably.
But if not, it's definitely historical fiction anyway. So, that's your thing. If you want to cry some more.
Good to know. Good to know.
Like the crying.
Always. Always. Do you want to go again?
Okay,
sure. I'm realizing how many.
So many. Okay. When I Was Young is a comic anthology that was a benefit for the Trevor Project. And so it's almost 100 pages. They're short stories, all different creators. I'll link it in the description. But there's a lot of stories in it. And of course, some people I've heard of, some I've never heard of. But all of them were really pretty and about growing up and being queer. So definitely, I don't know if you can still buy it on crowdfund or whatever, but it's pretty awesome.
I love comic anthologies because everybody's different, like, art styles and such. Yeah, it's really cool.
It's so different. Everyone's just so different. And some of them are nonfiction and some of them are fiction, so it's a little bit of everything.
Yeah. I read Avengers Twilight, which what do I even say? It is basically the Avengers, like, way in the future. So Captain America is old. And there's, like, Iron Man's son has kind of, like, taken over, but not in a good way. And, yeah, it's very relevant to today. Very... I don't even know what to say. It's a lot. This book is a lot, but I definitely think you should read it. And you should just take my advice.
Philip loved it.
It is genuinely amazing. And the art, I love how, like, sketchy it is. I don't know if you can see.
Sketchy.
That's what it is. Like, not like in that way, but
sketchy.
Kind of sketchy. Lots of bright colors and chaos. And it's really good. So you should read it.
I read Transitions by Élodie Durand. This is another translated book from French, and it's nonfiction in the way that Élodie gets a secondhand account from this woman named Anne about her son's transition. And so it's not a direct memoir, but I would still call it a memoir of sorts. So yeah, this lady Anne is going through it because her son decided to transition and she doesn't know how to handle it. So it was interesting, I guess, to get a perspective from a parent, but they didn't handle it well, especially at the beginning. So that was really hard to read. So I guess some parents could find this beneficial, but not necessarily like, hey, this is what you should do when your kid transitions. So I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it. So that's all I'm going to say.
It's a great way. I read Midnight Radio, which was really cool because it's a bunch of different stories that, like, all connect in the end. They all kind of bond over the Midnight Radio. And each of the characters has a different, like, color to them
It's my favorite
in their
part.
story. Yeah, it's really very good.
It's getting reprinted too.
Ooh, nice.
I like their. I don't know if that would count as translated. They're not English native speaking.
Yeah.
But they did a bunch of other books that I really liked too.
Yeah.
That's the reason I read it. 'Cause I was like, oh, I've read their newer stuff.
Yeah, it's really very good. I read it at the beginning of the month, and I should have taken notes probably, but very good.
Indiginerds is another anthology that I read. It's about Indigenous kids that like technology and gaming, all kinds of nerdy things, and it's just basically a love story of, like, we can be nerds too. It's not, Indigenous stories aren't about trauma, so I really love that message throughout the whole book, and I just love how sparkly it is. And again, all the art is different, and there's some nonfiction, some fiction, so there's something for everyone in here. I think I really enjoyed this one.
Want to come up here? Come on. a visitor.
Watson.
Let's see here. I read Brittle Joints, which Jaclyn read last month. It was very, very good. I really just love the art. It's kind of unique to like comics or whatnot.
It's very sketchy.
Very.
But it is.
It is though. It is. That's the only way you can describe it, as sketchy.
It's sketchy.
But very, very beautiful. Yeah. It's a different perspective. It's one that you might not think about a whole lot. So
yeah, it was a disease I've never heard of before.
Yeah,
so
that
really
nobody has ever really heard of before because it's very unique to her.
What are you doing?
But yeah.
Okay, you good, buddy? I finally read Pride of Baghdad by Brian K. Vaughan and Niko Henrichon. And I read this for a banned book video because I had read like all the books except for this one, so I finally read it because this came out in like early 2000s. And it's banned for, I guess, sex, nudity, I don't know. There's 2 scenes where there's implied rape of a lion and then implied consensual sex between lions. Nothing is shown, but they're lions.
Yeah. That's...
So, I don't understand. But it's based on a true story of when the U.S. was bombing Baghdad, but it's from the perspective of the animals. When the zoo was bombed, they fled the zoo, and then they were tracked down by the U.S. soldiers and killed.
Oh my god, that's a lot.
Spoiler alert. But,
Wow.
Since it's from the perspective of the animals, and like they're trying to figure out, hey, we finally get to leave this prison we're in, but it's for another prison essentially. So it's a lot.
That is a lot.
Yeah.
Wow.
Don't read this one.
I don't plan on it.
I don't know why they'll talk me into it.
So my last book for the month is Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow. And I love her so much. I love her so much. I love her whole journey throughout this book, but what I love most is that the book is from the perspective of this girl that she picks up along the way. What is her name? I don't remember her name, but it is from somebody else's perspective rather than Superwoman's perspective. So it's really cool seeing Supergirl as other people see her rather than her own thoughts about herself, because I think it would have been a way different story if it had been from the perspective of Supergirl.
Makes sense.
I love books like that. I love seeing the outside of people, especially like yeah, it's really good. There's a lot of really neat creatures, and the art is vibrant. Let me find, like, the eyes are just so beautiful. I don't know, but wait, here's like a picture to show. Just look. I don't know if you can see because I won't focus, but it's so beautiful. And it's by Tom King Bilquis.
Sure.
Evely? Something like that.
His art's pretty.
It's gorgeous. So good. Highly recommend.
We read lots of superheroes this month.
I did.
I don't ever read superheroes apparently. We'll fix that. And my last one is Plate Tectonics by Margot Moten. And this is an illustrated memoir. It's very cartoony in the way it's just like little snippets of her life, but her artwork is beautiful, and I think she needs to like write for a fashion magazine or something because like her colorful clothing and stuff was really pretty. I don't know, she's just a very fun character, and I forgot what I was gonna say, but yeah, her little artwork of herself is colorful and fun, and she's going through a divorce. She's a single mom. She starts dating again, so it's just like chronicling that part of her life. I think in French this would be book 3 of the trilogy, but this is the other one I read, so this was translated from French. But yeah,
So cool.
Another memoir that wasn't completely cohesive. It's more like snippets of someone's life,
Mhm.
which is fine.
Yeah.
Completely fine. Just that's what it is.
Mhm. Yeah. And that is everything we read this month.
Yeah, we read
Yeah.
a lot.
A lot of really good stuff too.
What was your favorite?
My favorite of the
Skelenor?
month? Skelenor or maybe Ash's Cabin or Unico.
I think Ash's Cabin might be my favorite.
Yeah.
It's really hard to pick. I think I picked already, but I already forgot. I think Navigating with You is my top 5.
100%. 100%.
I do a top 5 every month, and all 5 this month were graphic novels, so that's kind of telling.
Yeah.
Your Letter is up there.
So good.
We Are Big Time is up there.
Definitely. Definitely.
Persepolis book 1 I put on there.
Yes. Yes. Because I liked both of them, but did I say I liked the first one better?
I think you didn't like book 1 better. That was me. You can always change your mind.
my opinions.
It's hard to separate.
They're both good. They're both very good.
So I think my favorite would be Ash's Cabin.
Yeah. Mine is Skelenor.
All right. Well, that is all we have for today.
Yes.
So join us next month to see what we read in September.
Woo!
Thanks.
Thank you.